Hello, my name is Nicole Hockley, and I'm a mom, just like any mom who stands behind you in line at the grocery store or next to you on the soccer field as we cheer on our children. I'm just like you, and maybe you're just like me. 2 years ago, I was a very happy person. I had a plan for life. I was about to start a new small business. I was going to get involved in the school PTA. I wanted to teach my children how to ride their bicycles without training wheels. And I wanted to grow old with my husband, smiling as we watched our children grow, mature, and start to lead lives of their own. I was always optimistic, a glass half-full person who saw the silver lining in every cloud and often felt so much joy I thought I would burst. I always looked forward, never backward, no regrets. I smiled and laughed a lot. Does that sound like you too? And on December 13th, 2012, that's who I was. A happy wife and mother, busy with my daily life, stressing over what seemed like big problems at the time, shaking my head at the tragedies I would hear about in the nightly news. I was just another mom, another person who really knew nothing about gun violence, politics, lobbying, activism, or how to create social change. I was like so many people in our country, part of the silent majority. That changed forever the morning of December 14th. That morning started like any other Friday. I woke up both my boys, Jake and Dylan, got them dressed, gave them breakfast, packed their lunches in their backpacks, and we walked up the driveway to catch the school bus. There was one thing different that morning. You see, Dylan and I had this little routine. He was 6 and in first grade, and both loved and disliked school. He was also autistic, so routine and repetition were very important to us. So every day we had a countdown to get us to the weekend. Monday was always 5 days school, 2 days no school. Tuesday was 4 days school, 2 days no school, and on until Friday, which was always 1 day school, 2 days no school. But this Friday, as the bus was approaching, Dylan looked at me and said, "Last school, Mommy." And I smiled and said, "That's right, Dee, 1 day school, 2 days no school." And he nodded and said, "Last school, Mommy." Then he got on the bus and went off to school at Sandy Hook Elementary. Less than an hour later, a disturbed young man with access to high-powered firearms shot his way into the school, killing 6 educators and 20 children. My eldest, Jake, in his 3rd grade class, survived. But Dylan, my beautiful baby boy, with his infectious giggle and his warm, deep cuddles, was killed, shot multiple times, dying instantly in the arms of his special education assistant, who also died while trying to protect him. That was when the world changed for me, and I changed with it. The tragedy impacted every aspect of my life, not only because of the obvious absence of my son, but because of the constant hole inside me that can never be filled. Jake has been forced to grow up far too fast, following the unfathomable loss of his little brother. Grief and pain have altered the lines on my husband's face. The way I view the world has changed. Interactions with friends and family often seem foreign, and I've become much harder. No longer brimming with optimism, I'm now someone far more realistic and still. And I look back so much more. My entire life is now viewed by the prism of before and after. I mark the passage of time, birthdays, holidays, the first day of school, and the last day of school. I see Jake growing older, but Dylan is frozen in time forever, and a part of me is frozen with him. I keep Dylan's baby teeth and a lock of his hair on my bedside cabinet, beside the urn that holds his ashes. That's all I have of my baby boy now. There are no words to describe how much it hurts. I suppress my feelings constantly for fear if I were to ever really let them out, if I ever truly allowed myself to cry, I would never be able to stop. It would completely destroy me. Do I still sound anything like you? Well, see, here's the thing. I never had to be that mom. And for all the moms and dads out there, you can stop this from happening to you. Because every gun-related death is a preventable death. These are not random acts. You can never say, this will not happen to me. It can happen to anyone, at any place, and at any time. My entire purpose now is to ensure you don't become like me. It's why I've devoted my life to a national organization started in my community called Sandy Hook Promise. I simply don't want any more parents to lose their children to gun violence. Because as I said, every gun-related death is a preventable death. Everyone knows what happened at Sandy Hook that terrible day, but what too many people don't know is that there are 500,000 acts of gun violence committed in our country every year. 289 people are shot every day. Of those that are shot, 90 will die every day, including 8 children and teenagers every day. They are the deaths that occur from the more than 300 million guns in homes across our country, mostly in the hands of decent people, of families who love their children and want to keep them safe. But gun violence can happen in all our neighborhoods, our colleges and our schools, our military bases and our movie theaters, and on streets and in homes everywhere. Though sadly some areas do experience more losses than others, we all know that this is not just an urban problem or a suburban problem. This is not just a gang or inner city problem. This isn't even just a criminal problem. Gun violence, like all violence, is indiscriminate. It is a problem we all risk, a problem we all share, and a problem we can all do something to solve. Taking action to protect children from gun violence can take time, and it can take many forms. For some people, it takes the form of fighting for policy or political change. That can be a long and frustrating road, and sometimes causes the issue to become more polarized, driving people further into their corners. It's certainly not the only option, and some people just aren't comfortable being activists. But that doesn't mean there's nothing they can do. Small but meaningful actions can create lasting change. So if you have 5 minutes, have a conversation with your children over the dinner table about gun violence prevention. If you have 2 hours, host a discussion with other parents. If you can dedicate 1 day a month, work with educators in your community about how to identify children who may be troubled and get them help. But doing nothing is not an option. I'm talking about the things that people can do in their own homes and schools and communities to ensure that people that are suffering from mental health issues get the help they need, to ensure that those that are crying out for help on social media are properly investigated before they hurt themselves or someone else, to ensure that our children don't accidentally pick up an unsecured firearm and get hurt or killed. Prevention programs like Say Something, which train young people how to recognize the signs of suicidal and violent behavior and tell a responsible adult. Programs like Mental Health First Aid that can train you on how to understand mental illness and seek help for those individuals. Programs like No One Eats Alone that empowers students to be the one that reaches out to other students that are socially isolated or falling through the cracks. You can find information about these and so much more at our website, sandyhookpromise.org. There are so many actions that we can take to protect our children and each other from preventable gun tragedies. And that's why I need you to think about this and know that none of these none of these actions affect constitutional rights. Though I do believe there are sensible things that we need to do to improve gun safety or ensure that firearms don't fall into the hands of people who shouldn't have access to them, we at Sandy Hook Promise believe that maybe one of the best ways to start talking about gun violence is to stop talking about just the gun. Many of our programs and the actions that you can take are focused on identification and intervention in the days, weeks, months, or even years before someone picks up a firearm to hurt themselves or others. That's why I need you to join this effort. Even if before the issue of gun violence has seemed too big or too terrifying or too hopeless for you to make a difference, even if before it's been easier for you to focus on getting the kids to school on time or shuttling them to activities or helping with their homework. Even if before now you've never really thought about this before. Because the truth is, the change we wish to see begins with us. And we can all take action to protect our families and the people we love from this. Because you see, we really are all alike. And when something like this happens, you have a choice. Whether it's one child killing another because a firearm was left unsecured, whether it's a random neighborhood shooting, whether it's suicide or gang violence, whether it's rage leading to domestic violence, or whether it's 20 children being gunned down in their classroom, you have a choice. We all have a choice. We can allow this event to change and define us, or we can be the ones who change first and take action and define what happens next. So please go to our website and join us, work with us, because together we can prevent these tragedies. I can't go back, but you can go forward and make a difference. I'll close by telling you this little story. Dylan was autistic and a flapper. And whenever he got excited or happy, which was all the time, he jumped up and down and flapped his arms as fast as he could. I asked him once, "Why do you flap?" I wasn't expecting him to answer, but he did. He said, "Because I am a beautiful butterfly." And for me, he was. And there's a saying that one butterfly flapping its wings can cause a hurricane halfway across the world. Well, I believe that if the millions of people out there, just like me, just like you, who want to protect our children, if we all took action and flapped our wings, we can do more than cause a hurricane. We can change our world. Thank you.